Hey folks, welcome to Moonshift Audio. I've seen a few people asking recently about whether or not you can have wide bass, and although the whole you've always got to have your bass in mono thing isn't something I totally agree with, there are definitely advantages to having a mono low end. That said, having some width to your bass parts can be a really neat device to use in your music, so in this video I'm going to show you a couple of tricks for both synthesized and live bass to have a part that appears wide but avoids any phasing or mono compatibility issues in the low end. Before we get stuck in, I'll introduce myself quickly. I'm Jack, I'm a UK-based producer and mix engineer. I put out a new video every week, so please do like and subscribe. If you're working on your mixing and you're learning here on YouTube, you might be interested in my Mix Exploder service, where I give your track a professional mix here in my studio. Then I send you a 30-minute personalized video of every detail of how I got you that sound, so you can see exactly how a professional engineer would treat your own audio. There's a link to the Mix Exploder down in the description, but for now let's jump into Cubase and have a look at these bass lines. Alright, so here we are in Cubase, and to start with, I'm going to look at the synthesized bass. So I've got here a drum and bass drum loop that I've loaded in from Splice, and a track with an instance of Serum with a very simple bass line that I've drawn. So at the moment it sounds like this. And you can see I've loaded up the sort of square wave table from the JNO Juno inspired oscillator shape on oscillator A. And I'm going to bring up the unison. So straight away, you can hear two things. You get that lovely beat of the oscillators against each other, and that thickness starts to sound like a drum and bass line. And you're also getting a hell of a lot of width. I'm going to keep it quite detuned for this example. Let's perhaps just put a quick LFO to add some movement to that filter there. Now, I'm not going to spend ages on this, because the main thing I want to look at is how we can get this to work in mono. Because if I drop a utility type plugin onto that channel and I make it mono, you can hear there's some serious phasing going on in the low end. Which ain't no good. So let's have a look at a couple of ways that we can look at this. The first way is kind of quick and dirty. We can use a multi-band imaging plugin. So we can find one of those, for example, in Isotope Ozone. In the imager, we can create a band, let's say 100 Hertz, pull the band 1 width to -100, which is about as mono as it gets, and we'll leave the band 2 width, which is this higher band, at 0. So you can hear we have kind of locked the low end into place there, but by summing it to mono, we haven't really dealt with any potential phase issues that might be occurring with those different square waves all at slightly different frequencies beating against each other. So I'm going to bypass this plugin, and I'm going to do perhaps what you might consider a slightly more proper way of doing this. So I'm going to duplicate my Serum, and for this one I'm going to pull the unison down to 1 again, and I'm going to put an EQ on this one with a high pass filter that's going to just increase the slope of that, and we'll have everything below 100 filtered out. So we're just getting the bass on that. Now, on the original Super Saw, or Super Square in this case, I'm going to put a corresponding EQ with a 24 dB per octave high pass filter, also at 100 Hz. So now we've got the highs are wide, and this nice solid single oscillator for the bass. Now this also allows us all sorts of other opportunities. For example, we might decide that we want to use a different wave shape. Like, the classic would be a sine wave for a really thick low end. Also means that we can distort just the highs, or we could process the highs in any way we like. For example, seeing as how we're looking at width, why not put a stereo enhancer, make it extra wide? Let's go all the way to 200. And that's a bit much. But we're no longer sacrificing the integrity of our very low end to get that wide bass effect. So I'm now going to look at a similar setup, but this time with some live style program drums and some live bass that I've played in myself. So I've gone for a super fuzzy tone, just a few effects and guitar rig on this, and it sounds like this. Now, it's not an often used effect, but I have in some earlier records that I produced, with some success, gone for a double-tracked sort of stereo bass, especially in tracks where you don't maybe have a guitar or something up in the higher registers. So I've panned that one hard left. And now I'll unmute the other track, which I recorded, which is a completely separate take and is panned hard right. Now we're going to have the same issue here in that although it sounds thicker than the Serum did at this point, there's definitely scope for some quite nasty phase issues down in the low end with those two bass lines playing the same thing. If we make this mono, yeah, you can hear it's all over the place. So we need to sort that out. And the way to do that is to duplicate either one of these, it doesn't matter. I've just taken the left here, and in a similar way to before, I'm going to put an EQ on, filter out everything below, let's call it 100 Hertz. And now on these two, which are still panned left and right, we'll do the opposite. That's one. And that's two. So now we should have just the sub there on one. Let's make this stereo again. You got your left, your right, and your sub, and together they sound like this. And you've got that mono compatibility where you need it. So there you have it, synthesized and live bass, stereo and mono. Okay folks, thanks for watching. If you found this video useful, please do like and subscribe for more tips, tricks, resources and downloads from me at Moonshift Audio. Till next time.